Welcome to the Introduction to Political Science course, online course for fall 2020. I will be your professor for the course, Richard Laird, and I hope everyone is being well and staying safe. What I would like to do for this first video is go through the syllabus in detail, because it's very important that you understand what is required of you for the course, how we're going to operate the class, and that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and get right into the syllabus. First thing I'll do is go to the RCC front page there. We're going to click on My RCC, go into this page right here, and we're going to click on Blackboard, and then you're going to click on your course for this one, the Intro to Political Science, and that'll take you to the home page of this course. And the syllabus is located under the Course Information tab. And then we click on the syllabus or Intro to Political Science. And then what we want to do is zoom in on our syllabus here. So if you have a hard copy, that's what I recommend, that you get a hard copy and follow along. What I want to do for this course is treat it somewhat like a Monday, Wednesday class if we were meeting on campus. So what I will do is post video lectures on Blackboard each Monday and Wednesday. So Mondays and Wednesdays will be the class days. I'll talk about the schedule here in more detail here in a minute. I'll be posting a discussion forum after those video lectures, and you will respond to those discussion forums on those days. So I'll explain how that goes here in a minute. This is my email right here, rlaird@sunyrockland.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And then we can make a virtual appointment if necessary, either through Zoom or WebEx. I'm still trying to get that worked out as to how that's going to work. And I will typically do that for one-on-one meetings if you have any questions about anything. And we'll typically use Thursdays for those types of conferences if they're needed. Now, as far as the course description, to introduce you to the basics of political science, the theories, the approaches, methods, terminology used to analyze political events. So it's going to be a general introduction overview, but it will be covering lots of information. We'll be looking at things around the world. We'll be comparing politics in other countries. We'll be looking at basic concepts that apply to all different types of governments. So it will be a fairly broad course, but it will have a lot of information. We'll want to pay attention and keep up, take notes. Here's the course objectives. You can read those, and gives you an idea of what our goals are for the course. In addition to learning the basics of politics and political science, we want to utilize the scientific method and the importance of that in political research, how to be using a critical objective analysis for your paper and for learning about these issues. Now, the book is Power and Choice, Introduction to Political Science by Shively, Roman and Littlefield. And this latest edition has been out for over a year. You might be able to get it for a reduced price. But I will be going through that book in order. I'll be referring to the book quite a bit, may even be assigning some readings out of the book. Supplemental articles will be posted on Blackboard, whatever readings that may be needed to supplement the material. I'll also be teaching you about using peer-reviewed academic journals. Those are very important where scientific studies are published. I will show you how to find them, tell you why they're important, how to cite them, and they will be most important used in your analysis for your paper topic that we'll get into here in a little bit. So we need to talk about online course participation in specific detail here. This is not going to be a self-paced course. You will want to keep up with it, particularly on those Monday and Wednesday lecture days. We want this to be as interactive as we can possibly make it, particularly on those days. And there could be any day where I would be sending out an announcement that I may need you to respond back to. So it's imperative that you access Blackboard and your school email every day. The announcements that I send out will go to your school email. As I said, the video lectures for each chapter will be posted on each Monday and Wednesday, along with an accompanying discussion forum that you will respond to by the deadline. And the deadline to respond to discussion forums will be 9 p.m. on that evening that one is posted, each Monday and Wednesday. So that's how we're going to operate the course. So attendance will be taken through the responding to the discussion forums after the video lectures. If you do not respond to the discussion forum by the 9 p.m. deadline, you'll be counted absent for that day's lecture. Each absence will result in a deduction of 5 points from your attendance grade. So for example, if you miss 3 discussion forums, that would be 15 points off your basic attendance grade. Now there could be other things going on here as well. Could also have points deducted for failing to follow instructions that the discussion forum wants you to do, or failing to watch the video before responding to the discussion forum. This is extremely important. Students are required to watch the entire video lecture before responding to the discussion forum. Can't blow that off and just jump to the discussion forum. I can't do that. Attendance and participation will account for 15% of the total grade. We'll look at that breakdown here in a minute. So it is your responsibility to keep up with the lectures and the discussion forums. Right up front, they're going to be posted on Mondays and Wednesdays. Forum will be closed at that 9 p.m. deadline. So if you do not respond by that 9 p.m. deadline, I'm not going to go back and do it. So do not send me an email asking me if you could please respond to the discussion forum. Nope, that's not going to happen. We're going to move on from there. The discussion forum might also be a group exercise that could require some communication or interaction between students. Now, there's no right or wrong answers to discussion forum question, but points could be detracted for just repeating what somebody else has already posted because you didn't read it. So this is also very important. Read the previous posts that have already been put there on Blackboard before you make your response so that we can improve the variety of the responses and avoid repetition. The forum could also be in a pop quiz format to where each student would not have access to the other students' responses, so that would give me another option for the discussion forum there. If it sounds like I'm not from around here, well, that would be because I'm originally from Texas. So now let's get into the grading policy and what's expected of you on tests. Okay, the grading policy will have 3 tests for the course, all online. Talk about that in more detail here in a second. Each test is 20% of your grade, so that's 60% of your total grade. For the test, the paper, any other related paper assignments, all total will be 25% of your grade. And then your participation is 15% of your grade. Keep in mind there are no makeups or extra credit. There is also a late penalty for the paper, and no incompletes will be given. And as I mentioned, no excused absences, in other words, for missing the deadlines. As for the tests, as I said, there'll be 3 online tests during the course, covering 6 chapters each, and they will account for 60% of your total grade. This being an online course, they will be open book, open note tests, but they will be timed, and that timing will be relatively challenging. So you will want to be prepared before you start the test, as you will not have time to look up the answers during the test. Using the video lectures and your readings and your notes, you will want to be prepared before starting that. If you're not prepared, you will not finish the test in the allotted time. The tests would include a variety of questions such as multiple choice, matching, fill in the blank, true, false, short answer. And every test will have a couple of short essay questions. This is very important. The short essay questions will require the student to demonstrate some fundamental understanding of what is being asked. So what you will not do on those is just copy and paste some bullet points from the lecture. If you just go to a lecture slide and then just regurgitate what those bullet points are on that particular slide, you will not get any credit for that because that's just copying and pasting. You will want to demonstrate in your own words your understanding of what's being asked there. So do not copy and paste anything, anywhere, anyhow, under any circumstances. Failure to complete the test by the required deadline, which is 9 p.m. that evening as well, it will result in 0 points. So it's your responsibility to communicate with the professor if there's an issue. Communicate as soon as possible. Keep in mind that the student cannot pass a course if they do not take test number 3. Now, as far as cheating goes, don't do it. Don't even think about it. Don't even go there. It is the single worst thing you can do in your college career. It will not be tolerated, and you could get expelled from the school for cheating. So the things that I really want to note are right here. Once the test period has begun, there will be no communication at all between students regarding the tests. Now, obviously, before the test period starts, you can compare notes and even have virtual study groups or whatever you'd like to do prior to that as far as preparing for the test. But once that test period starts, where you'll have perhaps maybe even a 4-hour window to go in there and take the test that might last for 30 to 35 minutes. Once that period starts, then there's no communication. Each paper will be the student's own work. Any suspicious similarities between any student's papers or any test answers would warrant an investigation. So do not copy and paste anything under any circumstances. We'll talk about citing your sources here. I'll get into that more later once we get into more details. So let's talk a little bit about the paper assignments. Main thing that you want to start thinking about at the first is a topic that you would like to write about that is relevant to national government or politics in general. Since we are looking at politics and political science as a general overview, pretty much anything you pick is fair game. What I will need, however, is to know what you're going to write about. So I need a 1/2 page summary of your proposed topic, and that's due on October 14th. In this summary, you'll want to give me 1/2 pages, 1/2 of a page of what you want to write about and why, and go ahead and include one credible news source that you used in order to learn a little bit about that topic. So if a topic summary is not received on the day that it's due, student will be counted absent for that day. So that will be treated just like missing a deadline for the discussion forum. Now, speaking of topics, the biggest topic in the world, of course, right now in everybody's mind is the coronavirus pandemic, and that is changing the world as we know it, as we speak. But what I want you to do is for your paper topic, think of something besides that. There's lots of topics out there in the world that are still in the forefront, lots of people's mind that will be still there once this coronavirus pandemic finally subsides, and if we can get a vaccine and get back to some semblance of normalcy, well, then there's going to be lots of topics out there that we were going to need to address. So use your imagination, be creative, even perhaps whatever might be pertaining to your major. So we want to get that topic in. Now, also, you could certainly talk about how the coronavirus pandemic has affected that topic. That's certainly something worth writing about. But as far as the main idea of your topic, let's go out elsewhere on that. There's no penalty for this, but students might be asked to resubmit their summary if it's not clear or if it's not specific to a topic that we can delve into, or if too many other students are looking at that same topic. So you might have a second or third choice in the back of your mind. Bottom line is that your topic must be approved before we move on from there. So everybody needs to turn in their paper summary on that day that it's due so that I can get the comments back to you and get those topics locked in and approved so we can move on and start looking up readings on your topic. At some point thereafter, I will ask you to submit whatever peer-reviewed academic sources you found thus far in the proper format. Now, don't worry about that now because I will continually throughout the course give you information and show you how to do that. A video will be provided fairly early on about your paper, as well as a video on peer-reviewed academic journals, why they're important, where to find them, how to cite them. So I will be giving you a lot of information on that. Now, when your paper is due, it will be a 4.5-page minimum paper. That's not including the reference page. And that will be due on Wednesday, December 9th. The papers will be attached to a form that I'll set up in Blackboard, and it will be attached as a Word file. This is important because in the Word margins, I can make comments and then email it back to you so you can get all that information back after I grade it. The format for the papers and for any paper assignment that you turn in for the class, the format will be the same in each case. Double-spaced, 12-point font, Times New Roman, 1-inch margins. So everybody will follow that same format for every paper assignment that you turn in. We will all be consistent on that. For your final paper, there will be a minimum of 6 references. At least 4 of these will be from peer-reviewed academic journals. And so again, I will be telling you some more information as we go as far as how to cite those sources. The paper will be an objective, critical analysis of the issue. A PDF file, guide to writing your paper, will be posted that provides lots of useful information on how to write a more interesting, more informative paper, unbiased paper. The paper is not for the purpose of your spouting your opinions or for you telling me what's wrong with the world and who's right and who's wrong. That is not the point of the paper assignment. In fact, that's the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. What we want to do is demonstrate what you have learned from your academic readings. So you want to read a lot from these credible sources and describe what you've learned in an interesting, informative manner. Do not cut and paste anything, anywhere, anyhow, under any circumstances. So the bottom line, students are graded on their ability to gather this interesting, credible information from these academic sources, legitimate news sources, and then display their understanding of that topic in their own words. And that's when learning really starts to occur, when all that happens. Now, another thing I like to mention to all my classes is that before I became a political science professor, I was a civil engineer for over 20 years down there in Texas. So, you know, what they say about engineers, right? My point being here is that every single thing that I ask you to do has a reason behind it. So you're just going to have to trust me on that. All right, so now let's get into the schedule for the course. All right, this is the introduction and to the course and the syllabus that we're watching right now. So then we're going to get right on into the textbook, so you want to read that along with these video lectures. First one, we talk about Chapter 1, Overview of Politics and Power. Then Chapter 2, Ideologies and Political Philosophies. Chapter 3, looking at the modern state, and then Chapter 4, Policies of the State. And then on September 23rd, I want to post a video that just gives a general overview of the class paper. getting ready for the paper, getting your mind set for the paper that will be due later on in the semester. Then Chapter 5 looks at the economic policies of the state. Then I want to delve a little bit further into the scientific method and political science research, very important in political and social science, to writing an unbiased paper as well as analyzing your topic, that sort of thing, understanding things better. Chapter 6 will be looking at justice and the effectiveness of that. And then on October 7th will be the first online test covering those first six chapters. And the deadline to complete that test will be at 9 p.m. that evening. Now for the second third of the course, Chapter 7 will be looking at democracies and authoritarian systems. And then on October 14th, your paper topic summary will be due. That's when I will need the 1/2 page in the Word file that will be attached to Blackboard so that we can get our paper topics approved. So you've got until October 14th to finalize what topic you want to write about. Chapter 8 will be looking at political culture and socialization. Chapter 9, constitutions, the design of government. Then I want to post a video on the peer-reviewed academic journals, why they're important, how to find them, how to cite them. Chapter 10 will be looking at elections. Note that this is occurring just on the eve of the presidential elections, so we'll probably discuss a little bit about the elections before we get to Chapter 10 particularly, and I want to go ahead and remind you now to go ahead and register to vote. I live in New Jersey where we can register by mail, and we'll be checking into that for New York as well as registering by mail. We can even look into how to vote by mail as well. Chapter 11, looking at political parties. Chapter 12, interest groups, a very important aspect of our pluralist system in America. And then on November 9th, test number 2 will cover chapters 7 through 12. Deadline 9 p.m. For the last third of the class, we'll start with Chapter 13, looking at social movements, and there's also a very interesting article about the Occupy Wall Street, the short-lived Occupy Wall Street movement, and then what I'm going to have is just a little additional writing assignment here for you to read this article that I will post about the Occupy Wall Street movement, and then based on what I ask about that article, give me a short essay on that for that day. Chapter 14, looking at parliamentary systems of government, and then on Chapter 15, we'll compare that with presidential systems of government, which is what the United States has. After Thanksgiving, I'm going to post another short video here on how to prepare for the finalization of your paper, as well as the PDF file on the guide to writing your paper, which will give you lots of interesting and useful tips on how to make your paper more interesting, more informative, unbiased. Chapter 16 looks at the bureaucracy in the public sector. Chapter 17, law and the courts. And then your paper will be due on December 9th, your 4.5 pages minimum paper attached to Blackboard in a Word file. And then Chapter 18, global politics, has got a lot to talk about. I'm thinking I might break that up into 2 parts, 2 separate lectures, or divide that up on those last 2 days. And then the final day of the class, December 21st, we'll have our final online test and covering the chapters 9 through 14. Okay, that covers the syllabus in detail. So be prepared for the next lecture coming up. I'll post the video, and I will be seeing you in class.